Jac Caglianone is a Kansas City Royal. He has officially called up to the big league club. We were just live about 10 minutes ago. We're live again on One Royal Way. We're excited. Happy Sunday to everybody. We are back at it live for the second time tonight here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. A little breaking news, team. I had to pull out the suit jacket. Tucker Franklin told me it is necessary per Jeff Passan as of about 2 minutes after the previous episode we just got done, about 35 minutes there. I walk back upstairs and the notification comes through that Jac Caglianone has been called up. I had heard some rumblings that it could be that he comes up on Tuesday. Man, the jacking off stuff is live in the chat right now. Y'all are having a good time. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. If you're watching this on Twitter, I appreciate it, but make sure you come over to YouTube and subscribe over there as well. Hit those notification bells. Subscribe on all the audio platforms as well. Incredible news. I'd heard this was possible. I didn't think the news was going to come tonight. The chat is flying right now. This is kind of nuts, and my ADHD is not keeping up. But I mean, this was something that we knew was going to come down the line at some point. We knew Jac Caglianone was going to make his way to the big leagues. He was going to hit his way there with his performance over the first 6 weeks of the season or so, and 2 months at this point. But he plays 12 games of AAA. 50 games at, exactly in the minor leagues. And now he's a part of this lineup moving forward. Played a lot of right field since he came up to AAA, played left, played right, still first base and DH, but that corner outfield, they must feel comfortable with him out there because they pulled this ripcord a lot faster than I thought they were going to. Coming into tonight, 323, 391, 600 slug. That's a 991 OPS total. For the year, 161 weighted runs created plus. It was 178 in AAA. As I mentioned a few minutes ago on the last episode that went live, and go check that out if you want the recap of the Tigers series, that there was a lot of instances where pitchers were intentionally being very careful. And by intentionally being careful, I mean they weren't pitching to him. It was breaking balls very clearly in the dirt, spraying fastballs, giving him nothing in the zone because they know he can go out and hammer it. And now we're going to see what he can do at the big league level. 15 home runs in the minors, that'd be the most on the Royals by 7. And he is tied or has the minor league lead and leads the minor league in RBIs with 56. This is the guy that completely changes the complexion of the lineup. And I know that the weight of expectation now is substantial for him because the way this offense has performed, despite some of the talent on it, it is grossly underachieved to this point, and they don't have a thumper. Bobby only has 6 home runs, and he's kind of starts seasons power-wise slow, but 6 homers in 2 months is kind of uncharacteristic for him, even with his profile. Vinny is hit, he's starting to tap into some of that a little bit more. But he only has 8. Salvi has 4. And that's pretty much it on this team right now. A lot of I think Kyle Isbell has 3, and that's the next closest. There just is not a lot of power. And he provides that. And it's left-handed power that is a built in a lab, middle of the order bat that he can change the complexion of the way this season is trending for the Royals that fast. And I know that sounds wild. And I know that is maybe an antithesis of where I was even 3 weeks ago when we talked about Jac Caglianone, when we talked about him in the spring, when we talked about him at the beginning of the year, that I was afraid that he was going to be looked at as a savior, that he was going to be looked at as he's going to change everything. And I was like, well, we got to hold on that. Like that expectation is unfair. You can't expect that from him. Now I'm looking at it as, he might be. He just might be. Maybe he exceeds all the expectations that we're thinking about. Now, we also got to look at this as it's going to take time. It's going to be, there may be growing pains early. There was growing pains for Nick Kurtz with the A's But he's after his, once he kind of hit that 50, 75 plate appearance mark, he started to take it in a different direction. He's been about a league average hitter with some decent power, and Caglianone's got more power and more hit than Nick Kurtz does, and he's striking out a third of the time so far. Nick Kurtz at 108 plate appearances. He was the other first baseman that got taken in near the top of the draft in last season in 2024, slashing 245, 315, 447 with a walk rate around 10%. It's a 110 weighted runs created plus in 22 games. So maybe that's a benchmark to look at. I don't know if Cags is even going to walk that much. He's walked at a fairly uncharacteristic rate based on what he did at Florida. And I know that the walk rate looked kind of crazy and the strikeout rate was pretty low last year, but a lot of that was because he wasn't getting pitched to a lot. There was a lot of intentional walks. Kyle Krisky in the chat, just got my chance to see Jack in Omaha last night. Glad I made it out there when I did. No kidding. If you were looking to go to, because Omaha is in town again this week. I thought, they'll do the 2-week homestand, let the people in Omaha see him, and then ship him off to Kansas City for the beginning of the Yankee series coming up, not this coming week, but the week after. And they're pulling the ripcord on it now. Now we don't know what the corresponding move is. Okay, there we go. My goodness, just mind meld with Levi Lorenz here on YouTube. That I don't know what the corresponding move is. I would guess it's Michael Massey because he's played outfield recently. And now at second base, you have India can play there. You have Garcia they can put there. Now Lofton they can put there. That would, to me, make the most sense. There's a projection where he gets placed in the lineup from Al here on YouTube. It's a good question. Let's workshop this a little bit because I've talked about it. I talked about it, I think, on 810. I've talked about it in a couple of different places. Cags is a built-in a lab 3-hole hitter. When you think about ability to put the ball in play, he can go bridge at any point. He can drive runners in. He's got a penchant for it. But I don't think you put that weight on the kid right away. Like, hey, you're going to go hit behind Bobby Witt Jr. and in front of Salvador Perez in your first game in the big leagues. I don't think they'll do that. I could see them hitting him 6th early here. That would be India, Bobby, Vinny, Salvi, Michael, Cags. Maybe they hit him 5th. Maybe that provides a little protection for Michael. Yeah, say India, Witt, Salvi. Yeah, I could see it being 5th or 6th right now. I think he's too good of a hitter to have that far down in the order, even if you maybe want to give him a little bit of, hey, we don't need you to be the world for this team. But I think he's the profile is a middle of the order bat. I agree. Levi Salvi should be moved down, but they would never do that. Yeah, I'm at that point too. But I think even if they do move him down, it's 5th or 6th. Like they're not going to move him down to the bottom of the order. He'll still hit the middle third there at the lowest. Any chance the rave experience is over? Levi with a ton of questions here. Thank you for hopping in here. I don't think it's over, but I think he's just going to be a bench bat, which is fine. Like they've given him a chance in the starting lineup for most of this week. I don't see enough that makes me believe he's an everyday guy, but there's some speed there. There's still enough bat to ball that makes me think, okay, maybe he can hang around there. Lofton's going to be in the lineup every day. At least he should be in the lineup every day. Or I guess the other one to consider here would be maybe Mark Canha is a DFA candidate. Really hasn't been the same since that hip injury. So that would be the other one to consider. And then maybe Massey moves to the bench a little bit more and just you don't need to stick him out in the lineup every single day. But I also think he's been so bad that they need to move him to to Omaha just for a mental reset, if nothing else. Because he doesn't look confident at the plate right now. The plate appearances are really not good. It's not even like he's walking or putting together good plate appearances and make you think, okay, he's going to get right. He's missing fastballs down the middle in the part of the zone where he can hit the ball, where he's pretty, got a decent enough bat to ball. So there's a couple that I think they can make. I don't think the rave experience is over yet, but I also think it's on last legs, probably. Don't mind them giving it a shot, like I've talked about. Like, I don't need you to be awesome for, your entire career or the next 3 months. And you just see if he can be awesome for 2 weeks. He hasn't necessarily been that, but he also had 2 hits today. Looked a little more confident at the plate. I guess we'll see. But Caglianone is immediately going to be one of these teams, this team's, premier run producers. If everything works out, some of the chase stuff may bite him early, but I think he's shown as well that he can make adjustments, that he can handle, some of the chase, some of the out of the zone stuff. And he makes so much contact that even some of the out of the zone stuff doesn't kill him because he can, take that ball 3 inches the other way, on the outside corner or off and hit it 105 down the left field line. He's got no problem going the other way. He's not a dead pull hitter. He doesn't need to be. He can get to his power in any situation. And, we'll see where he ends up. But I'm excited. This is a massive step forward for this team. And he can have a massive difference. Have we seen a rise like this from any Royal in the last 20 years? That's a good question. I mean, I guess you could, it wouldn't even necessarily be that, but maybe Hosmer, but not necessarily in the way of like how quickly he moved, but just it became undeniable that they needed to get into the big leagues because they talked about him needing some time and some seasoning in AAA. And then he hit 370 for a month. And it's like, okay, like it's time. I think they just reached that point. And I wonder if it was some of those at bats earlier this week where he's not getting pitched to. Like he's been in the international league for a week and a half, and he's not getting pitched to by these AAA guys. It's like, okay, like at a certain point, he's going to have to learn at the big league level. And that's where a lot of the learning happens for all of these guys. I do wonder if we didn't have a COVID year, how fast Bobby could have moved. Because that was a year of development. He probably would have gone right to high A, and, maybe he's in double A that year, and then maybe he's knocking on the door in 21 instead of 22. But I mean, 50 minor league games. I mean, I can't think of anyone that did anything like that except Bo Jackson, right? Like I remember that Bo moved really quick. Let me see if I can see how many minor league games he played because it wasn't many. He played 59 minor league games. Jack played 50. Well, 50 this year. Total minor league games for him is what? Like 70 something from the end of last season. And Nick will hit a break after this. I want to get this number here. He played, where are we at? 50 plus 79. Yeah, 79 minor league games for Jac Caglianone, and he's in the big leagues. 50 this year, when even last year, after the end of a long season, didn't look like he was going to be able to ascend like this. But clearly the dude was ready, and it's time. It's go time. Let's see what he can do. We'll talk a little more. We'll answer some more questions. Keep hopping in the chat. Keep asking your questions. We'll do that. We'll do more on this side of this break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hanging out here, Jac Caglianone is a big leaguer here. He is called up to the Kansas City Royals per Jeff Passan and will make his big league debut on Tuesday in St. Louis, the I-70 series. Welcome to the big leagues, man. So there was a question in the chat here from Levi, who's been awesome tonight. Thank you so much for sending in a bunch of questions here. Can you clarify all the dumb service time takes have been flying around for a month? So I don't think it was necessarily like the service time for the extra year, which they've already gotten, by the way. If they had, if you want to talk about service time manipulation, they had called them up first week of May when they accrue that. Then you can have that conversation. But that is not historically something the Royals have worried about or cared about. If you're ready, you're ready. And they'll call you up whenever. They could have done that to Bobby Witt Jr. in 22. Send him down, give him some BS excuse of, oh, well, he's got to work on hitting breaking balls or whatever, and then called him up first week of May. But nope, he would, when he was ready, he was ready. Brady Singer, Chris Bubich, same thing in the COVID year. They could have given them that extra chance, and they didn't. They knew they were ready. So it's not necessarily that, but what people were talking about was Super 2, which is if you accrue the June 6th is the latest day for Super 2 designation. Thank you, Joe. I had heard the 7th was I might have been off by a day. But what essentially that means is instead of going to arbitration after your third year of team control, sorry, my brain just shut off there for a second. I've been talking for a long time tonight, and it's just me. But instead of after your third year, just after your second year, to my knowledge. So it's arbitration a year early, which means you're paying for the player a little bit more, but they're still going to have control of Jack until I believe after 2031. So the service time remains the same, but it may cost them a little more on the front end, calling him up now instead of post Super 2. But again, the Royals seemingly do not care about these things, or not as much as other teams might, because they want the best players on the team. And Dayton Moore has proved that they don't like to hold guys back because players know what you're doing. Yeah, and there is elements of that. Like players know exactly what service time manipulation looks like. The Royals haven't been a team that's done that historically. Even going back to the Dayton Moore days, you didn't see a ton of that. So, it is what it is. And clearly this was, I'm sure that this got some of John Sherman's approval. It's his money that would be, paying for Caglianone, a little bit early. And Kyle, I agree. Kind of good that he's starting off on the road. I think that's fair. I obviously think making your big league debut at Kauffman or at the home stadium is a nice touch that a lot of teams try and make happen. So you can get that debut in your home ballpark. But this kind of gives you a chance to settle in a little bit. And he's going to play the Cardinals and the White Sox and then come home and welcome to big leagues. You're facing the Yankees. So that's going to be a really fun series. I cannot imagine what the jersey sales are going to look like at Kauffman. I think it's that Tuesday because I think it's a Tuesday through Thursday series against the Yankees. The number 14 Jac Caglianone jerseys are going to be selling out like crazy. I bet at the team store. I bet they're already being sold quite a bit online. Mahomes tweeted about it. I mean, this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal across baseball. And this isn't, and not even that. I saw a bunch of Boston fans, like Caglianone got called up for Roman Anthony, which I guess just tells you maybe how two teams operate. I don't know. But they also let Christian Campbell make his debut, and they've already got up minors. I don't know why Roman Anthony's still sitting in the minors. Tuesday through Thursday is against St. Louis, but I meant the next Tuesday through Thursday is Yankees and then the A's coming into town. I think that's what I meant. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it tonight, and obviously right after I got done recording, it would have been sick if I had just rambled on for about 2.5 more minutes, checked my phone, saw that Caglianone was on, and then it would just be one episode instead of two. But hey, y'all are getting 2 for the price of 1 tonight. It's also free, so keep subscribing to make sure the show stays free. Any other questions about Caglianone, the roster, anything? I'm just going to kind of go until you guys – how many ABs until his first bomb? Oh, that's fun. I'll say I think he gets 1 in the St. Louis series. I'll say the second game, so that maybe 6 or 7 ABs. I wouldn't be shocked, man. But also, I feel like if he doesn't get 1 there, he's for sure going to get 1 against the White Sox, right? I wasn't expecting it so quick, Jake. I agree. I knew it was coming, right? I think everyone could feel it with how well he started in AAA, with the lack of offense on the big league side. It kind of forced their hand, but there's also an element of this that I don't think this decision was made, at least from what I kind of know and about JJ and the front office and the way this team kind of operates, being around him a little bit more over the last couple of years. I don't think this decision was made because the big league club needed it. I think they made this decision because Jack made this move for them. Afraid this move is as much bad offense as moving according to plan. I think you can maybe throw it in a different column, but I kind of, I was getting to that right as that comment popped up, and that's not a slide on you. I appreciate the comment there. Because I think this is more about Caglianone making the decision for them than them needing to make that decision. That he proved, I'm ready to help you guys right now. I don't have to sit in the minors for another 2 months for you guys to know. June 1st, right now, I'm ready to go. And we'll see what kind of spark that provides for this offense and what he's able to do. I mean, it could be significant for this team. And, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he is going to be incredible right out the gate. We don't know. Everybody is different. Their developmental plans are always a little bit different. So I guess we'll see, but this guy has proved that at every level he can get better. And when he starts to feel comfortable, man, he gets rolling. And there are not many dudes in the big leagues that have that type of power that can change a game. And he has the ability to change games. He has the ability to change outcomes. And he can do a lot for this offense that just doesn't have a lot of power. He could be the guy that kind of gets things going, gets those big hits, comes up with runners in scoring position, can drop a bomb whenever, he comes up. There's a chance he comes up anytime, and it can happen. So there's a lot here that makes me think this could be where the season changes. And I know that JJ talked about you want to bring up the top prospect when the team is doing well. So it's not like, hey, you're here. Welcome to the big leagues. Congratulations. Come save us. They don't want that to be what the expectation is for Jac Caglianone. But you also maybe need to pull that ripcord because of what we've seen from the offense over the last 2 weeks plus, and 2 months, really. Today might have been the nail in that coffin. I bet they had that decision made, even if the Royals went out and won 8-1 today. When a decision gets made on a Sunday night like that, that tells me they had it in the pipe, before the day started. But now, it looks like, hey, we made this decision when, after that. So we'll see. But it's, Cags and Bobby for 6 years is glorious. Yeah. The thought long-term of a 2-3 in your order of Bobby Witt Jr. and Jac Caglianone is pretty unbelievable. And that could be one of the best that could end up being one of the best 1-2 punches in all of baseball. And I think I talked about on a previous episode, and I didn't think about it a ton at the time when I had the take. And maybe that's why I need to think about these things before I say them sometimes. But I talked about how I didn't want Caglianone to feel like he needed to be the savior, or like I didn't want that to be the expectation for people. But he doesn't have to be. And I think it's a rare circumstance where you have a high-level face of the franchise type prospect that doesn't have to be that, because Bobby Wood Jr. is already that, and he's in year 4 and he's a veteran, and he has taken on that expectation of being a face of the franchise type. Caglianone just gets to come in and ball. He doesn't have to worry about being the guy to the media, the guy to the city, the dude that people come to the ballpark for every single day. Now, people are going to come for Caglianone, but Bobby's already established a lot of that, and he's established being the leader on this team. I know Salvador wears the C. Salvador's even said Bobby's team. It doesn't have to be Cag's team on June 2nd or June 3rd. It's Bobby's team, and now Caglianone just gets to come in here. He has to inject himself in that lineup and change the complexion of it with just his presence. And I know he's going to be able to do more than that. So this is really exciting on a lot of different levels here. Will he keep the same number as he did in Omaha? I hope he sticks with 14. That's a hell of a number. That's a good baseball number there. Joe in the chat here wonder if Michael's an IL injury. I don't think so. And Levi, we'll get to your question here in a second. I don't think so. They said it was day to day. So to me, that they're usually pretty good about that. Thumb soreness to me doesn't feel like it's an IL thing. It could have just been something weird that popped up. Nick, if you could, Brandon Uribe, is he going to pitch all the big leagues? No. I don't think there's any reason for him to. I think we've seen him level up hitting wise. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to see him just hit and not pitch. Because as good as he, like the velocity wise, he's more of a reliever than a starter. It's not like an Ohtani situation where he's got a starter's repertoire and starter's command and starter's length. It's more of fastball, slider, reliever. I think they should have just let him hit. And part of that was like maybe he'll be able to level up a little bit more from, as a hitter where there was already a ton of insane, upside, obviously, from Caglianone. Now as just a hitter, we see what that looks like, right? I don't know if he would have ascended this quick if he was doing both. He still may be in Double-A right now if he was doing both. But instead, will there be any pros, cons of just starting with DH, just 100% focus on what you're paid to do? I agree with that. But I also don't want that to be like the weight of expectation that you're only, and I also don't want to put that type of guardrail on a 22-year-old, right? It's not like he is your 6'5", and dude's 6'5", 250, but he moves really well, and he's a really good athlete. It's not like we're talking about I think Nick Kurtz kind of falls in this category a little bit more. Like he's first base only, first base DH. Cags has shown he can play the outfield a little bit. And I think you let him go out there and you try that for now. And then as he evolves, as you move forward, you can look at first base DH. He's going to have days where he DHs, but I don't want that to be, hey, we're just going to stick you there right now. I think you let him play right, you let him play left, you let him play first, you let him DH and move him around a little bit, and just let him be an athlete. Let him play. But his bat in the lineup is going to play right away. But I don't think you DH a 22-year-old like right away, entirely. Will Cags help Vinny keep rebounding? I think so. I think it adds another bat in the lineup where there's not as much pressure on Vinny. This could be if Cags starts killing it right out the gate and looks like he can be, a rookie of the year type player. Maybe you move Cags to 3, Vinny to 5, and then your lineup lengthens a lot. And maybe it takes some pressure off Vinny in some of those 3-hole situations. And maybe you see some more pitches to hit down, in the 5 spot instead of the 3. That could be something to consider, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I do think that. And Vinny had such a good month of May, my God. But we'll see there. Pasquantino DH, Cags at first. I understand that, but Vinny's a very good defender. I don't think it's going to be like that solely of a situation here. Kyle Coffey said he's not on the 40. I know you said Massey, but will he be a DFA? Massey's not going to get DFA'd. He's got options. DFA candidate would be Canna. That would be, maybe one to consider. I need to check the 40 here because I want to say the 40 is at 39, but I don't know if that changed with Hoffman coming up. See if we have so they're according to Roster Resource, their 40 man is at 39. So Cags becomes the 40th. So that tells me it's probably going to be an option as opposed to a DFA of a Mark Canna or something like that. So Jess, that's something to think about and to consider here. That's probably going to be the move. It's probably going to be an option of a Michael Massey or like a John Rave, one of those guys. I'm more excited for Tuesday now than I was even already, and I get excited for baseball pretty much every single day. So this is going to be one of the best tuned-in games in quite a while, and and I don't think this is the only move they're going to make. So Dotboy 816, still missing a couple pieces. Ramon Arias, Andrew McCutcheon, Marcelo Zuna Verdugo should all be on their radar. We still need a bat they can play as a hype guy. I think the hype guy aspect is kind of interesting because there's a lot of kind of just unassuming or just laid back personality guys. Not that they're not competitive, but they just don't have that kind of fiery dude. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, they're going to make another move, but this is the first of a couple that I think they're going to make. But this also now is like, hey, we may not need 2 bats at the deadline. We just need 1, which then maybe allows you to push some of your chips to the middle for a Taylor Ward or somebody like that, with some right-handed power that can play left field. Ozuna would bring some juice, but that would make the roster construction really, because he's almost a DH only, and you already have like 4 guys, 4 DHs basically between Vinny and Canna and Cags and Salvi. Like that roster construction can get weird. Ward can play left field, and you can stick him out there and be fine. So we'll see how it ends up working, but this is a big day in Kansas City. This is something people have been looking forward to since March, since spring training. Brandon said, I work at Busch Stadium. That's pretty cool. So I can't wait till Tuesday. Hopefully bats 4th or 5th. If he hits higher than 5th, that'd be unbelievable. I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see how highly they think of him right away. But this is a big deal. If there's any other questions before we get out of here, either on Twitter, YouTube, wherever, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you are subscribed. As I mentioned in the previous episode, we are trying to get to 800 subscribers. We're at 745 now, so we got 73 people watching this. Awesome. But we only got 16 likes on this video, and we got 73 people watching this right now. Hit that like button before we get out of here. If there are any other questions, please send them in now. I appreciate all the support here. Toast game to the Royals for making this move. Brought to you by Holiday Distillery. It's the same glass of bourbon that I had from the previous episode. But this is exciting. This is going to bring some juice to the city here. What's corresponding move when Reagans comes back from Joe? I imagine it's a bullpen move. That may be Jonathan Bolin, would be my guess. Righty for a righty. Taylor Clark has pitched well enough that I think they can make that work. Andrew Hoffman just got up, and I think his stuff plays a little bit better than Bolin's. That would be the 2 that I would look to. Those would probably be the 2 guys. But if I had to pick one, it's probably Bolin. And then we got the big decision comes to get away from Caglianone for a second of what do they do in the roster, in the rotation with Michael Lorenz and Noah Cameron. I would be shocked if they don't do this, but I think Lorenzen moves to the bullpen. You keep Noah Cameron in the rotation, and then you rock a rotation of Bubic, Cameron, Lugo, Walker, Reagans, and that's going to be really damn good. Nate Briscoe in the chat. If Jack hits 30 homers in the majors, will you get a Jack tattoo? I love me a good tattoo. but I don't know if I can make that bet right now. Like if he hits 30 home runs this year, if he hits 30 home runs by October, I can't commit to that tonight. Though that would be very funny. I can't commit to that tonight, Nate, but I appreciate the question. Circle back to me in like July, maybe. If he, we'll get there. I think on that note, we'll roll on out of here. Oh, Dot Boy, one more question here. Would you part with Jensen, Mitchell, Devaney, or Kudrna for a big rental bat? Absolutely. Rental. Ooh, okay. The rental part of that is interesting. If there's a controllable guy, anyone but Cags is available. For a rental, I'd probably be willing to part with Jensen. Get the tap, Brian. Hey, that's awesome. I'd be willing to part with Jensen. I'd be willing to part with Kudrna for a rental. I know that may hurt, but they got 3 catchers between Ramon Ramirez, Blake Mitchell, and Carter Jensen. And I know Jensen's the closest, but scared money don't make none. You're gonna have to make a big move. That's why you have some of these high-level prospects in your system. Not only can they help you now, but they can help you, in the future. But they can help you right now. Does he homer Tuesday? No, but I do think he gets his first big league hit. I bet it's like kind of like his first hit in Omaha. It was like a slap, slash single to left field. It'll be something like that. I don't think he goes bridge in his first game. If he hits a home run in his first big league at bat, that might be one of the most viral clips to go through Kansas City since the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That would be pretty unbelievable. I think that's going to do it for tonight. I do appreciate everyone coming back on a Sunday night. 2 episodes. We've been talking for basically an hour and a half on this channel. I appreciate the support. We will be back. I'm going to amend the decision I went from when I talked about Wednesday night for the midweek episode. It's going to be Tuesday. So after the first game of the Cardinals series, we'll record then. And then Thursday night, recap that series. And that obviously there will be a big conversation about Cags' big league debut in that video. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for always coming through and hanging out for these live shows. I appreciate it. So look for an episode to be up Wednesday morning, and then Thursday night, 8:30 Central, we'll recap that Cardinals series, preview the White Sox series. So I think that's going to be the schedule for this week. I kind of hedged my bets based on when I thought the Cags news would drop. Did not expect it to be 2 minutes after I get done recording the previous episode. But so, there we go. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here late on a Sunday night. Hope everyone has a great week. I know everyone's going to be tuned in on Tuesday for the debut of Jac Caglianone, and we will talk soon. Take care, everybody. Cheers. Happy Sunday, happy Monday if you're listening to this there. Have a great one, everybody.